Imagine waking up to a news alert that reorders the entire global financial landscape, not from Wall Street or London but from Baghdad. A single, decisive move from the heart of Mesopotamia that sends shockwaves through currency markets, leaving investors and governments scrambling to recalibrate their strategies overnight. This isn't the plot of a thriller novel, it's the palpable, nerve-wracking possibility that hangs over the Iraqi dinar today, a currency that has been dormant, suppressed, and the subject of intense speculation for 2 decades. The bomb, as many call it, is indeed armed. The metaphorical trigger is in the hands of Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani and his administration, a group that has been making a series of calculated, confident moves that suggest a long-awaited financial reckoning is not just a dream but a deliberate policy endpoint. For years, the Iraqi dinar has been the ultimate patience test for a global community of watchers, from hopeful individuals to shrewd institutional analysts. Stuck at an official rate that bears little resemblance to its potential, the dinar has been a story of what if fueled by Iraq's staggering natural wealth, one of the world's largest oil reserves, juxtaposed against decades of conflict, instability, and financial isolation. But something fundamental has shifted. The air in Baghdad and in financial circles monitoring Iraq is no longer one of perpetual delay, it's one of imminent decision. Sudani's government isn't just talking about economic reform in abstract terms. It is executing a multi-pronged strategy with the precision of a military campaign, targeting the very pillars that have kept the dinar artificially low: dollar dependency, banking sector opacity, and international skepticism. The Central Bank of Iraq has been waging a fierce, behind-the-scenes battle to regain control of its foreign currency auctions, to curb rampant money laundering and smuggling of dollars to sanctions-hit neighbors like Iran and Syria, and to force its own commercial banks to clean up their acts. Every week brings new regulations, new compliance demands, and new crackdowns. This isn't random noise, it's the systematic arming of the bomb. Each regulatory change, each bilateral agreement signed with a foreign power, each statement about moving away from a rentier economy is another wire being carefully connected. The ultimate goal? To satisfy the conditions set forth not by conspiracy theorists, but by the most powerful financial institutions on Earth: the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. The gateway to a revalued currency, a true economic takeoff, and a reintegration into the global financial system runs through their strict benchmarks. And Sudani's secret move, the one that could shock markets any moment, might not be a single dramatic announcement of a new rate. It might instead be the quiet, unreported moment when an IMF review team concludes that Iraq has finally, credibly, met its last major condition for a standby agreement or an extended fund facility. That technical nod would be the equivalent of pulling the safety pin. It would signal to the world that Iraq is open for real business, that its currency is now backed by transparent reserves and a diversified economic plan, not just the volatile price of crude oil. The shock would be profound because the market is overwhelmingly positioned for the status quo. Trillions of dinars exist in physical form outside Iraq, held by speculators waiting for this day. The sudden legitimization of that currency at a higher value would create instant, albeit digital, wealth for those holders, but more importantly, it would flood the Iraqi banking system with capital seeking investment in a rebuilt nation. Construction, technology, agriculture, tourism, sectors long neglected would see an influx of capital orders of magnitude greater than any foreign aid program. But this shock is a double-edged sword, and Sudani knows it. A poorly managed or prematurely announced revaluation could trigger hyperinflation, destroy the purchasing power of ordinary Iraqis on fixed incomes, and make the country's non-oil exports uncompetitive overnight. Hence the secrecy, the meticulous preparation, the relentless focus on building a sustainable economic floor before adjusting the ceiling. The world is watching for a headline, but the real work is in the mundane details of monetary policy, anti-corruption drives, and international diplomacy. The armed bomb is a symbol of both immense opportunity and catastrophic risk, held in balance by a government that appears to understand the weight of both. For you, the viewer, this means the days of passive waiting are over. The signals are no longer cryptic messages from obscure forums. They are public statements from the central bank, legislation passed by parliament, and reports from credible institutions like the IMF. Understanding the sequence of these events, not the rumor mill, is now critical. This narrative has moved from the fringe to the very center of geopolitical finance. And if you're not paying attention to the right sources, you will miss the tremor before the earthquake hits. The countdown is no longer theoretical, it is logistical. Every banking reform, every dollar auction result, every meeting with the US Federal Reserve is a tick of the clock. The question is not if the financial world will feel the impact of Iraq's decision, but when and how prepared you will be for the aftershocks that will ripple through every market connected to global currency trade, energy prices, and emerging market investments. The dormant giant of the ancient world is not just stirring, it is methodically preparing to announce its return to the economic stage, and the script is being written in real time by Prime Minister Sudani and his team. The stage is set, the actors are in position, and the first act of this modern financial drama is reaching its climax. Your awareness of this process is the most valuable asset you can possess right now, because when the move comes, it will be too late to understand the plot. You will only be able to react to the outcome. The core of this impending shock lies in a radical and historic divorce. Iraq's determined move to break up with the US dollar. For 2 decades, Iraq's economy has been functionally dollarized, a necessity born from the ashes of war and sanctions. The dollar was the crutch that kept the country standing, but also the chain that kept it from walking on its own. This dependency created a bizarre dual reality: an official exchange rate fixed by the government for specific transactions, and a wildly fluctuating black market rate that reflected the true strained value of the dinar in the streets of Baghdad and Basra. This gap between the official and unofficial rate is the very crack through which billions of dollars have leaked out of the country, fueling corruption, undermining sovereignty, and making a mockery of monetary policy. Sudani's secret move is, in essence, a comprehensive plan to assassinate this black market and reclaim monetary sovereignty. The Central Bank of Iraq's recent actions are nothing short of a financial special ops campaign. They have imposed stringent rules on how and why banks can access dollars from the central bank's window, forcing them to document end users down to the invoice level for imports. They have banned cash withdrawals in US dollars entirely, shifting all transactions to electronic, traceable platforms. They are actively promoting the use of the Iraqi dinar for all internal trade, including, crucially, for the sale of oil products within the country. This last point is monumental. Imagine an oil-rich nation where you can't even buy gasoline with your own currency because no one trusts it. By mandating dinar payments for internal oil transactions, the government is creating a massive, non-negotiable demand for its own currency, building its value from the ground up on the bedrock of its most valuable resource. Furthermore, Iraq is aggressively pursuing bilateral trade agreements settled in currencies other than the dollar: the Chinese yuan, the UAE dirham, the Turkish lira, and even the Indian rupee. These are not mere press release items. They are direct arteries being built to bypass the dollar-dominated global financial system, reducing the need for Iraq to hold and hemorrhage vast dollar reserves. Each such agreement strengthens the dinar's ecosystem, making it a usable instrument of regional trade rather than a symbolic token. This is the secret move in action. 1,000 cuts against dollar hegemony, each one strengthening the musculature of the Iraqi dinar. But why now? The alignment of stars is critical. Geopolitically, the region is recalibrating. Saudi Arabia and Iran have restored ties under China's mediation, reducing proxy tensions that have drained Iraq. Domestically, Sudani has managed a fragile coalition with a focus on service delivery and economic progress, giving him a window to enact tough reforms. Technocratically, the central bank leadership under Governor Ali al-Malek has shown a resolve and sophistication rarely seen before, navigating intense pressure from the US Federal Reserve, which itself has tightened oversight on dollar transfers to Iraq to prevent illicit flows to sanctioned entities. This pressure, while painful in the short term, is ironically forcing the very financial hygiene Iraq needed. It's the tough love push into adulthood. The Fed's strict compliance demands are the fire in which a legitimate, transparent Iraqi banking system is being forged. Once the system is deemed reliable, the gates for genuine international investment, not hot money speculation, will swing open. This leads to the second pillar of the shock: the potential unlocking of Iraq's real economy. A revalued dinar is not an end in itself. It is the key to a colossal investment boom. Iraq's infrastructure, from electricity and water to transportation and telecommunications, is in dire need of hundreds of billions in investment. A stronger dinar would make these projects cheaper to finance in local currency and would dramatically increase the purchasing power of the Iraqi state and its people. It would allow the government to fund its ambitious development goals without printing money and causing inflation. It would make Iraqi citizens feel instantly wealthier, boosting domestic consumption and creating a virtuous cycle of economic growth. However, the bomb metaphor is apt because the explosion of value must be contained and channeled. An overnight, massive revaluation, the RV of folklore, would be a disaster. It would bankrupt the government, which holds its oil revenue in dollars but pays salaries in dinars. the math would collapse. Therefore, the realistic, market-shocking move is more likely to be a managed float or a significant but controlled upward adjustment, followed by a period of stabilization. The shock will be in the signal it sends: Iraq is open for real business. The moment credible international banks, pension funds, and construction firms believe the dinar is a stable store of value, capital will flow in, not to speculate on the currency, but to build power plants, factories, and tech parks. This transition from a speculative asset to a foundational instrument of a growing economy is the true market shocker. It would reclassify Iraq from a perpetual conflict zone to the ultimate emerging market frontier, with all the associated capital flows and portfolio adjustments. For global markets, the implications are vast. It could alter dynamics in the forex market, putting a new oil-backed currency on the map. It could pressure other oil-producing nations to reconsider their own dollar pegs. It could reshuffle the deck in Middle Eastern economics, with Iraq reclaiming its historical role as a central commercial hub. And for you, this means the narrative must shift from "when will it RV?" to "how is Iraq building a real economy?" The former is a speculative guess, the latter is an observable process. Tracking infrastructure contracts, monitoring the balance between the official and parallel exchange rates as they converge, and following Iraq's sovereign credit rating are now more important than decoding vague intel. The bomb is armed not with a secret date, but with transparent, reportable economic indicators. The ticking you hear is the sound of quarterly IMF reports, central bank balance sheet disclosures, and parliamentary votes on financial legislation. When these indicators collectively flash green, the market will move, not before. And that move will be swift, because the smart money is already doing this homework, quietly positioning itself in the background, waiting for the public signal to confirm what the data has already told them. Amidst this tense preparation, a dangerous fog of misinformation and hype swirls, threatening to blindside the unprepared. The Iraqi dinar space has long been a fertile ground for gurus selling certainty, for YouTube channels peddling tomorrow is the day prophecies, and for elaborate schemes based on nothing but wishful thinking. This noise is not just a distraction. It is an active obstacle to understanding the real, grinding, and ultimately more promising story unfolding in Iraq. Sudani's secret move could be completely overshadowed or misinterpreted by this hype cycle, leading many to make catastrophic financial decisions at exactly the wrong moment. Therefore, the third crucial piece of this puzzle is developing the skill to separate the revolutionary signal from the relentless, profitable noise. The reality is that a nation does not reform its entire financial architecture and geopolitical standing to benefit foreign currency speculators holding trillion-dinar notes. It does so to benefit its own citizens, to secure its future, and to take its sovereign place in the world. Any narrative that centers the RV as a get-rich-quick scheme for outsiders is fundamentally flawed and often predatory. The real story is about Iraq's painful journey towards economic normalization, a journey that involves bitter medicine like the devaluation of 2020, which saw the official rate adjusted from 1182 to 1450 dinars to the dollar. A move that crushed purchasing power but was necessary to stem the fiscal bleeding. That was a real, shocking financial move, but it was the opposite of what speculators wanted. It was a necessary step in the longer arc of stabilization. Today, the signs of progress are tangible but complex. Iraq's foreign currency reserves are at record highs, exceeding $100 billion, providing a formidable war chest to defend a new exchange rate. Its oil production and exports are steady, with new agreements potentially unlocking massive gas and solar projects. The government is actively pursuing smart card systems for fuel distribution to cut subsidy fraud and is talking seriously about digitizing salary payments to reduce corruption. These are the building blocks of monetary credibility. Yet, for every solid step forward, the rumor mill creates 10 fantastical leaps. A meeting between Iraqi and US officials about banking compliance becomes the final meeting before the RV. A technical discussion about international payment standards, like ISO 20022, is twisted into a secret global reset timeline involving the dinar. This is where you must arm yourself with skepticism and primary sources. Rely on translations of statements from the Central Bank of Iraq's website. Follow Reuters, Bloomberg, and the Iraqi news agency for raw news. Listen to the actual words of IMF staff reports, which are publicly available and meticulously detailed. They speak of progress on structural reforms, risks from political pressures, and the need for continued tightening of monetary policy. They do not speak of imminent revaluations. The shocking move, when it comes, will likely be preceded by very dry, very technical announcements. the successful conclusion of an Article 4 consultation with the IMF, the inclusion of the Iraqi dinar in a new international clearing system, or a joint statement from the Iraqi Central Bank and the U.S. Federal Reserve announcing the full restoration of dollar transfers with enhanced safeguards. It will be bureaucratic, not cinematic. The market shock will come from the implications of that bureaucratic announcement, not from the announcement itself. Understanding this distinction is the difference between being informed and being misled. Furthermore, the risks are monumental and often glossed over by the hype community. Even a successful, managed revaluation carries profound risks. It could trigger capital flight from wealthy Iraqis still distrustful of the system. It could make Iraqi labor and goods more expensive, hurting nascent industries. It could invite renewed political interference in the central bank's independence, the very independence that is its current strength. And externally, a stronger Iraq is a more influential Iraq, which will inevitably shift regional power dynamics, possibly leading to new forms of tension even as old ones fade. For you, the investor or observer, this means adopting a mindset of sober strategic analysis, not lottery ticket anticipation. Ask practical questions. Are Iraqi banks now capable of handling international wire transfers smoothly? Is the government's budget actually diversifying away from oil revenue? Is the parallel market gap closing? These metrics are your compass. The day the black market rate and the official rate converge and stabilize is a far more important date than any guru-proclaimed event day. That convergence is the true sign that the bomb has been successfully detonated in a controlled demolition, clearing the wreckage of the old system, not in a chaotic blast that destroys the new one being built. Your engagement with this topic must evolve accordingly. Move away from forums seeking confirmation bias and towards resources that teach you about balance of payments, monetary policy tools, and Middle Eastern geopolitics. The reward for this deeper understanding is not just the potential to recognize a historic financial moment, but to comprehend the rebirth of a nation. The story of the Iraqi dinar is, at its heart, the story of Iraq's attempt to reclaim its destiny from the ruins of war and the shackles of a petrodollar system. That is a story infinitely more compelling and real than any fantasy of overnight wealth. It is a story of resilience, technical skill, and immense courage by Iraqi policymakers walking a tightrope over a chasm of potential failure. When you listen to Sudani's speeches, hear the focus on economic reform, fighting corruption, and providing services. These are the codes for the secret move. They are not codes for making foreign speculators rich. They are the blueprint for building a country that can stand on its own, with a currency that reflects its true strength and aspirations. Your awareness of this truth is your ultimate shield against the hype and your only reliable guide to what is truly about to happen. So, where does this leave us on the precipice of potential history? The culmination of Sudani's strategy and the armed dinar bomb points toward a future not of a single explosive event, but of a transformative process whose first major tremor could indeed hit at any moment. This process will redefine what it means to be an emerging market and will offer a masterclass in national economic resurrection. The final, most critical element to grasp is the interplay between Iraq's internal stability and the external validation it desperately seeks. The secret move is therefore a dual-key system. One key is held by Baghdad, the continuous, relentless implementation of reforms, anti-corruption drives, and dinar-strengthening measures. The other key is held by Washington, New York, and Brussels, the formal reintegration of Iraq into the global financial community through upgraded correspondent banking relationships, sovereign credit rating improvements, and the lifting of remaining transactional barriers. The shock to the markets will occur when these two keys turn in unison, unlocking a floodgate that has been sealed for a generation. This moment will be characterized by a profound shift in perception. Iraq will cease to be seen through the lens of risk and conflict and will begin to be analyzed through the lens of opportunity and yield. Bond markets will react first as yields on Iraqi sovereign debt tighten, reflecting lowered perceived risk. Then, equity analysts will start scrutinizing Iraqi companies and sectors poised for growth. Finally, the currency markets will adjust, not in a wild, speculative spike, but in a firm and steady repricing based on new fundamentals, diversified reserves, a balanced budget, and a credible growth trajectory. For the global public, the most visible sign might be the ability to freely exchange Iraqi dinars at major international banks and airports at a rate that reflects its true value, not a black market premium or a discounted speculative price. This normalization is the real goal. The journey to get there, however, is a minefield. Political spoilers within Iraq, from powerful militias benefiting from the opaque dollar auction to political blocs resistant to cutting subsidies, could derail the process. Regional tensions, a sudden drop in oil prices, or a change in U.S. administration policy could apply destabilizing pressure. Sudani's government is navigating this minefield with a careful, step-by-step approach, knowing that one misstep could trigger a loss of confidence that would take years to recover. This is why every action is calculated, every announcement measured. There will be no big bang unless the groundwork is absolutely secure. This is also why you must monitor the process, not the prophecy. Watch for the passage of the oil and gas law, a monumental piece of legislation that would unlock investment in Iraq's vast energy sector. Watch for the finalization of Iraq's accession to the World Trade Organization. Watch for major infrastructure contracts being awarded to international consortia. These are the milestones that mark the path. The RV is not a starting pistol. It is a finishing tape that is crossed after a long and grueling race of institutional rebuilding. Your role as an engaged, discerning viewer is more important now than ever. In an age of information overload, your ability to curate truth from trash will determine your understanding of one of the most significant economic stories of the decade. This isn't just about a currency, it's about the resurgence of a civilization that gave the world writing, law, and mathematics. It's about a people who have endured unimaginable hardship and are now on the cusp of writing a new chapter of prosperity. To reduce this to a mere investment tip is to miss the entire point. The call to action, therefore, is not to go out and buy dinars. That is a high-risk personal decision based on a myriad of factors far beyond this script. The call to action is to become a student of this renaissance. Subscribe to this channel not for daily hype, but for continuous, sober analysis of these milestones. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss our deep dives into central bank reports, IMF documents, and on-the-ground economic developments. We commit to providing you with organic, original analysis sourced from the data, not from the rumor forums. We will be your translator of the complex, your filter for the noise. But don't stop here. Diversify your knowledge. Follow economists who specialize in the Middle East. Read analyses from international banks that cover frontier markets. Engage in discussions that focus on macroeconomics, not mystery. Use the community in the comments below to share verified news and debate implications, not unsubstantiated dates. Let's build a community of the informed, not the impatient. The moment of shock, when it arrives, will be clear. It will be reported by every major financial news outlet in the world. Our goal is to ensure that when you see that headline, you understand the years of effort that led to it, the meaning behind the technical jargon, and the real-world consequences that will follow. You will not be surprised by the fact of it, but you will be empowered by your comprehension of its depth. The Iraqi Dinar story is entering its most critical phase. The bomb is armed. The countdown is based on objective reality, not wishful thinking. Stay locked on this channel. We will navigate this historic passage together, with clarity as our compass and facts as our guide. The future of a nation, and perhaps a new dynamic in the global financial order, is being decided right now. Don't just watch history. Understand it. And from that understanding, let your informed decisions flow. So, take this next step with us. In the comments below, tell us which specific aspect of Iraq's economic reform you find most challenging to understand. Is it the banking regulations, the IMF conditions, or the political hurdles? We will use your input to shape our very next deep dive video, ensuring you get the clarity you need on this complex journey. Let's move beyond the hype and build real knowledge together.